His name is Anthony Aguilar. You've seen him on the show before. He's a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel and Special Forces officer. He served for 25 years. He was also a whistleblower, and this is how a lot of us came to know about Anthony. He came forward about the operations at the U.S. Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid distribution sites. So Anthony is the one that came forward that let people know that they were shooting people as they were going to retrieve food. Let's go ahead and bring him in. He is now running for Congress. What's going on, Anthony? Welcome back.
Hi, Sabby. It's great to see you again. You're looking as great as ever, and I love the title of the episode tonight. And even after this segment, I will be staying on to watch it because I am very interested in what your take on it is.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. So I was very shocked and surprised and happy to hear that you decided to run for office, and you are not running as a Democrat or Republican. Can you tell everybody why you decided to go ahead and do the political route? Because again, a lot of us know about you because you came forward last year to tell people what was happening at those GHF distribution sites. And now I think it's really good to see someone like you trying to run for a political office. So why did you decide to run? And I believe you're running as a Green, correct?
That's correct. I am running as a Green for the North Carolina Congressional District 13 for the U.S. House of Representatives.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So when people say that Greens aren't running for other positions, I keep telling people that's not true. But tell us, why did you decide to pursue this route? And why did you decide not to run in either of the two parties?
Yeah, in terms of the green wave across the United States, we've got Butch Ware out in California. We got Greg Stoker in Texas. We've got 3 Green candidates here in North Carolina, District 2, District 13, me, and one of the Senate seats. So Green is a powerful party. And why I decided to run is because, frankly, I'm willing to step in and put myself on the line for our country once again. After 25 years of service, I very much look forward to retirement and looking at the state of our country and where our congressional leadership is leading us. Freedom is not a spectator sport. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do everything I can to represent the people of my district and more broadly, the people of this nation. I will take no PAC or super PAC or APAC or lobbyist or military industrial complex money. I will take no money from interest groups. This is grassroots, which brings me to why I'm not running Republican or Democrat. Both parties are two sides of the same coin. They are both corrupt. They are both compromised. They say one thing and do another. And the Democrats are just as complicit in many of the policies that we find ourselves in now, to include not standing their ground when they can. And it's concerning. So I'm running with the Green Party because the values align to my beliefs. Grassroots democracy. Absolutely. It's what we need now more than ever. And for the Green Party, right now in the midterm elections, the need for change has never been greater. And the opportunity for that change has never been better. Now's the time. Social justice, nonviolence, community-based economics, and then future focus and sustainability. Our planet. Like, I care about our planet, and so and all these things again are tied to policy and the government. So I've come to realize that many more Americans, 40 to 50% of adults over Gen Z and Gen X, and then that population of Gen Z, Gen X are now overwhelmingly identifying as independent. But they still feel the dilemma of the lie that is the two-party choice of, well, you have to vote Democrat or you have to vote Republican. And that is not true. I'm stepping in, one, as in politics, but two, as a Green, to break that paradigm. We will win in the midterms in North Carolina, District 13. The incumbent Republican receives APAC money. He stands with Israel. and he stands for the continuation of providing Israel with offensive weapons. He stands with Israel in not allowing aid into Gaza. He hasn't signed on to either of those House resolutions. His voting record says it all. He doesn't represent the people of North Carolina. He doesn't even live in the district. I live in District 13. I've raised my family in this district. I've lived in this district my entire military career that I've been at Fort Bragg for the last 12 years. I've lived here and I am running here. I am a District 13 North Carolinian. He doesn't even live in the district. So voters need to see that and say, do we want somebody that actually lives in our district, that represents our needs, that will speak on our behalf as one of us, who won't take money from a foreign government, who wants to raise up grassroots democracy and social justice and have programs and policies for universal health care and universal child care and an affordable living wage? Those are things that I think most Americans want. And that's what I'm standing on. So that's why I'm running.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's ridiculous that someone can be a politician in a district they don't live in, but there are some that do that. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. How do you know the needs of the people if you're not even living there, for one? But for two, I think I look at someone like you and I see someone that, especially a lot of the younger people that you mentioned, can look at and say, hey, there is someone on the ballot who's not taking money from AIPAC or any pro-Israel lobby. There is someone on the ballot that is representing a lot of the things that I support. And I don't know. I've noticed there's this wave that's coming through now. There's you, there's Greg Stoker, there's Butch Ware. And so I don't want to hear people say that Greens only show up during the presidential election, because there's a wave of people that are coming through that are running. And I think that's really good. Now, a lot of us were introduced to you because you blew the whistle on the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which I guess on paper, it sounds like a good, positive thing. But you alerted us and others in the media that when Palestinians were coming to these aid sites, that they were being killed as they were coming to gather food. And I think that, number one, it takes a lot of courage to come forward and say something like that, because obviously you are putting yourself at risk by doing so. So when I look at someone like you and I say, okay, well, if Anthony were to get into Congress, you already did one of the most difficult things to do, and that's being a whistleblower. So when people ask, like, how are you going to push back against the powerful lobbies, the ones that come into Congress and persuade politicians to write legislation that is going to benefit them? How would you go about doing that? And I think this is the importance about having people in Congress that are independents, people that are third party politicians. We need more of that in Congress because there are very, very few. But go ahead, Anthony.
Well, I am one that believes in you get more flies with honey than vinegar. But when those flies are corrupt and spreading disease, you have to call them out and you have to put out the fly paper. So in Congress, I will absolutely work with Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, and Greens in caucusing for legislation. Now, there is no one congressman that can do that, but I will not bend on my principles in achieving that buy-in. And for the majority of those in Congress, I feel that if there's a turn happening now to where more congressmen, whether it's for their own survival or not, realize that taking money from AIPAC, pro-Israel lobby, or any foreign government or any personal driven interest is now political suicide. America's waking up to the truth and they're seeing, like, that's not right. We pay you our tax dollars to represent us in Congress, and you are representing either a foreign government, a foreign entity, or your own personal interests in investing in the military-industrial complex. It's so clear now. So I think that a lot of congressmen, senators, and in the House are going to be very keen to understanding that if someone like me, who's not afraid to challenge the party line, who's not afraid to go against the grain, who's not afraid to call a spade, will look at that and say, so you don't want to join on to this legislation to block offensive weapons to Israel. during a ceasefire when we shouldn't be providing them anyway? Why is that? That's not what your constituents want. That's not a moral, ethical standing. Why? Oh, is it because you have some of your retirement investments in Lockheed Martin? Is that why? Is it because you're paid $2.8 million from a pro-Israel lobby? Is that why? It seems like that's why. And I will call them out on that. I will call them out on facts, but I will not shy away from it, because in my corner, I won't live in a glass house. I will not live in the glass house of compromise where I'm taking money from those same organizations, or where I have my personal portfolio filled with Raytheon and all these others. In fact, I'm going to go to Congress with no stocks, no bonds, no investments, and not even a Roth IRA. Because I believe that if you were in Congress and you are representing the people, you should never be in a position that allows you, even if not but questionable, to take advantage of that position. And financial gain is a big reason for a lot of politicians who look at something and like, oh, wait, we definitely should not provide Israel with bombs during a ceasefire that continue to kill unarmed civilians. But if we do that, I might lose AIPAC funding. If I do that, then my retirement investment in Lockheed Martin, which is making me millions right now, plummets because we're no longer providing that to Gaza. So is their decision being based on what's right, or is it be based on personal gain? And that's the question that every American should ask.
Very, very good points there, Anthony. I also want to mention, for those who are not aware, you have approached Congress members as well. For those who are new to Anthony, Anthony and Joseph, I think her name's Josephine.
Yes, ma'am.
Both of them, military, former military. And I have seen videos, I played them on the show before, of you guys approaching Congress members about sending the weapons to Israel and all the money and the kids that are being killed. So you have already shown people that you can fight. That's why when we look at people like you, we're like, okay, you took a really big risk, and like you have approached people that are in the halls of Congress, a lot of corrupt people that are there. So it's not like, Anthony hasn't been there on the ground, and I've seen you speaking at other events as well about this issue and where the money is going. And speaking of issues, I do want to show people your mission page here. So you guys can go to Aguilar for U.S. Congress to see this, healthcare for all. And I love that on your mission page, you put the problem, the solution, the reality. I think that's needed. Universal child care, honoring our veterans. Go to another one here. Housing for people, not profit. Again, a lot of these are issues that especially a lot of younger people care about. Keep taxpayer money at home. I think a lot of us care about that. And this is something that's spread to both sides of the aisle, by the way. I'm hearing even conservatives say, keep our money here, clean jobs and the environment, clean democracy. So you're talking about corporations buying elections, which is a big, no. So I thought this was really, really good. And one thing that I did want to ask you and pass as well. So when it comes to legislation being passed in Congress, one of the things I think some people were upset about a couple of years ago was that $15 minimum wage. Now, we all know that's not enough for anyone to live off of today in the United States. But if something like that came through, if you won and you got in Congress and there was legislation once again about the $15 minimum wage, how would you vote on that?
Well, if it was 15, it's not enough. So I think now it's considered maybe like 21. But whatever it is calculated at the time based on inflation and cost of living, I would absolutely vote for the passing of a livable wage. Absolutely. Because the employers want to provide their employees with that. But when they're taxed to a point where they have to make those decisions, and they make the decision between keeping a salary or an hourly wage low, all of these things are connected. Corporations buying our elections, corporations buying our politicians, corporations running the price of things in our country. They're all connected. And if we can free ourselves from that, we can have universal health care. In fact, this year alone, if we didn't fund Israel with over $11 billion just to right now to this point in the year, imagine what we could do for healthcare. Imagine what we could do for housing. Imagine what we could do to raise the living wage or lower the cost of living by lowering the effects of ongoing of the precipitous of inflation. Imagine what we could do. Imagine what we could do if we don't have $1.7 trillion Department of Defense budget. Imagine if we didn't try to start a war everywhere in the world and we didn't try to overthrow and change every other nation's form of government. Imagine if we did that through diplomacy and through economy and worked with other peer powers in the world. The days of hegemony and superpower are over. We will have to learn to get along with China and Russia. We'll have to. To say otherwise is ignorant. So imagine if we had all that money back here in the United States. And I don't say America and Americans first in an isolationist way, but I say that our tax dollars should be kept here and put Americans first in terms of a roof over your head that you can afford, that you're not paying a 50-year mortgage on. And by the time you've paid that 50-year mortgage, you've paid for that house 10 times over in interest alone. You can afford food, good food, not just the ultra high processed stuff on the bottom of the shelf, but healthy food. Imagine that. That would also impact the health of our nation. We, the people, matter, and people in the country want to feel like they matter. And when they're pillaged in their paycheck, and they're pillaged at the gas pump, and they're pillaged at the grocery store, and they have no voice in Congress because Congress is sold and bought by foreign governments, that should make every American angry. And how do we demonstrate that anger in a positive and responsible way? We vote. We're nowhere near this whole idea of a, up in arms revolution. No, we can have a revolution of just exercising our constitutional right to vote. Get out there and vote.
Yeah, I will say I did see also, it appears you might be a part of OZAPAC. For those who are not aware, OZAPAC, I talked about it a couple of months ago when it was announced. OZAPAC is a PAC that is an anti-Zionist PAC, and it's representing politicians across the political spectrum. Like Jose Vega is a part of it. I forget his name, Adam, he came on, he's running against Andy Fine. Aaron Baker is a part of it. So it's nonpartisan, but the focus of OZAPAC is to support candidates that are not taking money from the Israeli lobby and to keep that money right here at home. So I saw Michael Rechtenwald, he was on TYT earlier, and he was explaining how the goal is to get the Zionist candidates, the Zionist politicians out of Congress, because it's just too much. And it's not a super PAC for those who are wondering.
Nope.
But he's really gotten this ball rolling with getting these candidates under this umbrella in a nonpartisan way to get these politicians out of Congress that are serving Israel. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and the great thing about AZAPAC is that with a political action committee that endorses you, or that may provide funding to support your campaign, usually have a list of demands in exchange. Like you got to say this, you got to say that. Here's your talking points. Here's where your position is. AZAPAC's pretty clear. Don't be a Zionist. Pretty clear. And that's easy for me because I am anti-Zionist. I am not anti-Semite. I am not anti-Jew. I am anti-Zionist. And Zionism does not represent world Jewry, nor does it represent the faith of Judaism, nor does it represent those that believe that faith, or even does it represent technically all Israelis. Zionism is a racist, colonial, political ideology that has no place in our Congress and no place in backing our congressmen. And I don't just say that for Zionism. I say that for any ism that promotes control, dominance, and racism. Today it's Zionism, tomorrow it's something else. We should reject all of that. And that's what Zionism represents. And if you look at how many congressmen currently receive money from AIPAC and or additional money from other pro-Israel lobbyists that are pushing a Zionist agenda, it's frightening. It's frightening. So yeah, AIPAC has endorsed me. AIPAC will support me. And in terms of lobbyist groups or PACs that have a series of demands that this has to be your political position, or that I'm going out seeking an endorsement, no. And AIPAC and their approach to me with Mike, who was very well informed in these issues, like, hey, it's a pretty simple requirement. Do you stand against Zionism? Yes, I do. I will say that unequivocally. I am anti-Zionist.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Aguilar, he's running as a Green for Congress. So if you're in North Carolina, if you're in his district, make sure you check out his website. It's Aguilar for Congress. So you can check it out here. Eric, you can put the link to this in the chat for everyone to have access to as well. Anthony, good luck. I wish you the best of luck. I know it's not easy, obviously, to run for office, but you've already been a fighter outside of electoral politics. So I can't imagine you not fighting when you're in. But thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you again. I always love having conversations with you, and I'm gonna obviously jump off the live and get out of the backstage, but I'm gonna stay tuned in to watch because this is a great episode. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.